Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at another moveset update from Season 12 of Go Battle League, Psychic FANGS STEELIX. Psychic FANGS gives STEELIX an even cheaper bait move, and thanks to the guaranteed defense drop, it turns STEELIX into an absolute monster in the 2-shield, very similar to a Nidoqueen. So much so that going straight Psychic FANGS, STEELIX has an 83% win rate against Great League Pokemon in the 2-shield. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out Psychic FANGS STEELIX in action in the Great League. Hopping into the first match, going up against members of my Discord as I lead STEELIX into Runerigus. Runerigus is able to outpace in this matchup. This could be the Shadow Ball. I let it through. It's a Sand Tomb bait, and my opponent is going to save switch into a Snarl Granbull. I don't have a great response to a Snarl Granbull in the back, but this is part of what makes Psychic FANGS STEELIX incredibly deadly. I'm going to be able to fire off back-to-back Psychic FANGS, able to grab a shield, and now my opponent's defense is 2 stages debuffed. I'm going to bring in Medicham. Medicham is going to be able to absorb the crunch damage, and you know what? I'm going to shield once and commit to the farm down. It's not too often you see a fighting type counter down a fairy type, but thanks to the debuffs, Medicham is able to farm down, and I leave with a ton of energy. Back in comes Runerigus. Ice Punch will hit for super effective damage here, but Runerigus is quite tanky. So Runerigus able to tank, and I'm firing off a second Ice Punch. Ice Punch, able to take them out. In the back is Fairy Wind Slurpuff. This is not great. I'm not able to reach a Psychic. I'm going to fire off the last second Ice Punch. That is not great. I'm going to bring in STEELIX basically just as a damage sponge and then hope that Trevenant is going to be able to outpace in the endgame. Flamethrower, massive damage. And now it's all up to Trevenant. Trevenant fires off the Seed Bomb, and it's a CMP tie. This is going to be close. Is Trevenant going to be able to outpace Slurpuff? Thanks to Fairy Wind, Slurpuff is now very, very spammy. I shield up the Flamethrower. It's going to be a race. Trevenant versus Slurpuff. Trevenant wins the CMP tie and wins the game. Seed Bomb takes down the Slurpuff, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, leading STEELIX into another Runerigus. Same game plan as last time. I'm just going to stay in here, try and do as much damage as possible. Opponent goes for a catch onto Tapu Fini, but I'm able to hang on to my energy and bring in Trevenant. I overfarm, and I'm going to fire off the Seed Bomb. Seed Bomb is going to do a ton of damage. Tapu Fini getting quite low, and they're going to fire off a move. I will respect this. Trevenant, not the tankiest Pokemon ever. They go for a Surf, trying to reach a second, but they're not able to get there. Runerigus does have energy, and they bring it back in. I'm going to fire off the Seed Bomb here. Seed Bomb does get a shield. I'm hoping to reach a second, but my opponent keeps track of my energy, and they're going to fire off the Shadow Ball before I'm able to get there. I'm going to bring in STEELIX. In the back, my opponent has Azumarill. Again, I don't have a great response to Azu, so I'm going to get the Psychic FANGS debuff and then bring in Medicham. This way, Medicham is going to be able to do a lot more damage than I typically would. I'm going to fire off the Psychic. This is not going to be enough to KO, but it will do a lot of damage onto the Azumarill. Azu is going to fire back with the Play Rough. This is going to be getting Medicham quite low. I'm going to farm up here, fire off the Ice Punch on the CMP tie to the Play Rough. Ice Punch is going to be getting that Azu quite low, and it is CMP, that's perfect. I'm just going to let this go, and then farm it down with STEELIX, but my opponent undercharges, saving the Azumarill, and they get farm onto their Runerigus. Runerigus fires off a move, I call it, and it's just a Sand Tomb. I'm going to fire off the Psychic FANGS. This is cheaper than the Crunch. I need to grab a shield, and I'm able to do so. That's big. This is going to be another Sand Tomb, and honestly, things are looking a bit tough because now my defense is 2 stages debuffed. I'm going to overfarm as much as I can and fire off the Psychic FANGS. The question is, can I live 3 bubbles to reach the next Psychic FANGS? I fall just short, and I lose a heartbreaking game. Dream lead in the next match, STEELIX into Altaria. Opponent save switches into Dubwool. I get a bit of farm on STEELIX, and I bring in Medicham. Medicham does have a very comfortable matchup against Dubwool. Dubwool fires off the Body Slam. I'm going to build up to the Psychic and bait with the Ice Punch, hoping to try and grab a shield, and I do. That's quite nice. This should allow me to shield once and then very safely counter down, because I should be able to live any one move from this health range, so I just shield the first. Even if this does end up being a bigger move, they go for the Wild Charge. Medicham able to tank it, farm down, and now I lead with an Ice Punch to threaten the Altaria. Ice Punch, obviously not going to one-shot the Altaria, but hey, double super effective damage is double super effective damage. Ice Punch does a solid chunk. Altaria is going to be able to farm down. I bring in STEELIX. In the back, they have Registeel, and I'm going for the Psychic Fangs. Let's debuff them before we bring in the Trevenant. And again, being able to debuff your opponent and then bring in another Pokemon is just incredibly nice. I mean, in this situation, I already had a positive matchup, Trevenant going up against Registeel, but if you don't, getting that defense debuff may actually flip a negative matchup into a positive one. So it's just a very, very valuable move to have on your team. I'm going to be shielding here. They go for the Focus Blast. Honestly, in a commanding position here regardless. I'm going to be firing off the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball is going to be taking care of that Reggie. I bring in the STEELIX, and STEELIX is comfortably going to be able to farm down here. They go for the Sky Attack. I tank that, no problem. The game does lag a little bit at the end here. Either way, STEELIX comfortably able to farm down, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, picking up a pretty tough lead, STEELIX into Talonflame. Honestly, this team as a whole is pretty weak to Talonflame, so I'm going to stay in with STEELIX and try and do as much damage as I possibly can. I'm going to fire off the Psychic Fangs. Psychic Fangs gets that ever-important defense drop, and this Talonflame is now at 100 energy. If they throw back-to-back here, I am going to need to double shield, but I do get the Dragon Tail through, which is quite nice, because that should allow me to farm down. So I'm going to bank a ton of energy on STEELIX, switch, and snipe with the Trevenant. They bring in Tentacruel. Tentacruel, another buffed Pokemon, as it now has access to the move of Scald. I build up to the Shadow Ball, baiting with the Seed Bomb, opponent lets it go. Unfortunately, the game lags, and I'm able to reach a second Seed Bomb. This would be taking out the Tentacruel. They're forced to burn a shield, and they're going to fire off a move. No shields left. I just have to let it happen. They're running Sludge Wave, and that's going to be able to take me out. I do have a lot of energy stored on my STEELIX. I bring in the STEELIX, throw a Dragon Tail, and I'm going to fire off a Psychic Fangs. Psychic Fangs gets them low, switch into Medicham, and in the back, they have Lantern. Lantern, another Pokemon that has gotten a new move in this massive move update, as Lantern now has access to Surf. I fire off the Psychic. Lantern does commit the shield. Lantern fires off a move. They're running Thunder, and that does quite a bit of damage. Lantern fires off another move. Is this a Surf? It is. Surf gets Medicham low. Medicham on very low HP, able to reach a last second Psychic. Psychic is going to get the Lantern quite low. STEELIX able to farm down, and that will be game over. The opponent fell just short of another Surf, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, leading STEELIX into Shadow Granbull. A Charmer going up against a Dragon Tail user may not seem like a great matchup, but STEELIX can win this matchup going straight Psychic Fangs. I fire off the Psychic Fangs, Granbull lets it go, but as you see, the Psychic Fangs and Dragon Tails really add up and do quite a lot of damage. I will respect it. They go straight for the close combat, and in comes Sableye. I'm going to be firing off the Crunch. Crunch, able to land, and I get the debuff. In comes Trevenant. Unfortunately, they are going to be able to reach a foul play. I decide to commit the final shield. I should be able to reach the back-to-back Seed Bombs here. I'm not going to be able to farm down, but this way, if they want to keep that Sableye alive, they're going to have to give me both shields. They decide to take the 2-0 shield advantage, and they bring back in the Granbull. I fire off the Seed Bomb. Seed Bomb gets the shield. At this point, my best fast move pressure is with Medicham. I bring in Medicham. In the back, they have Diggersby. Things looking very nice for me here, as Medicham does have a very commanding matchup over Diggersby. Diggersby fires off the Earthquake. Medicham will be able to reach the back-to-back Ice Punches. They hit for super effective damage, but Diggersby is extremely tanky. I'm going to be firing off another Ice Punch. This is going to start to get that Diggersby low. Diggersby is going to be forced to go for an Earthquake to take me out. And then it's all up to whether STEELIX can Dragon Tail down before they reach a Quake. In comes STEELIX. They're able to reach a move. Is this the Earthquake? Is it the Fire Punch? It's the Fire Punch. STEELIX able to hang on and reach the Psychic Fangs. Psychic Fangs is going to be taking out the Granbull. STEELIX able to farm down the Diggersby, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, leading STEELIX into Fairy Wind Slurpuff. A bit of an awkward matchup, but again, this is where having that debuff potential can be incredibly useful, because I'm just going to go straight Psychic Fangs. Unfortunately, the game does lag a little bit there again. They're going to be able to fire off a Flamethrower, but STEELIX is extremely tanky, able to absorb that damage and fire off a second Psychic Fangs. And now, these Dragon Tails are really starting to add up, even against the Fairy type. They're going to be able to fire off a second Flamethrower. I'm going to commit the shield. My backline doesn't really want to see a Slurpuff, so if at all possible, I want to try and get rid of it. Psychic Fangs gets them low. They are going to save switch into a Bubble Ludicolo, and honestly, I wasn't quite sure what to do here. I decided to fire off a Psychic Fangs for the heck of it, and I'm going to bring in Medicham. I could have brought in Trevenant, but I was worried about a potential Ice Beam, so I decided to bring in the Medicham. Ludicolo goes for the Leaf Storm, and that does massive damage. I'm going to fire back with the Ice Punch. Ice Punch gets Ludicolo low, and I'm able to punch down. That's big. We know they have the very low health Slurpuff in the back. What is that final Pokemon? In comes the Slurpuff, able to counter down. In the back, they are running Golurk. And things could get a little tricky here. Ice Punch grabs a shield. I'm going to bring in Trevenant. I'm able to hit for super effective damage with all of my moves here. But if Golurk is able to reach the back-to-back Shadow Punches, then I could be in trouble. I shield up the first. I'm going to fire back with the Seed Bomb. I believe they are one away from the next Shadow Punch. So I throw a fast move, switch, and I'm able to catch onto STEELIX. Let's go. They undercharge, but unfortunately, they are not going to be able to reach another move, and we clutch a very close win. Hopping into the final match, leading STEELIX into Mawile. Opponent is going to save switch into their own STEELIX, and I respond with Medicham. This is a very nice matchup for Medicham, but I do have to be careful of a potential Psychic Fangs bait into an Earthquake. Able to land the Ice Punch. They have a ton of energy, but I should live any one move here. I'm going to let it go. It is just the Psychic Fangs, and I'm going to fire off another Ice Punch. My opponent has a tough decision to make here. They decide to commit the shield on the Ice Punch, and they're going to fire off a last-second move. Honestly, I'm going to let this go, and instead just try and get a nice farm on my STEELIX. STEELIX going for the farm down, but on 1 HP, they reach a last-second Psychic Fangs. That is quite unfortunate, as now I'm debuffed. In the back, they are running Dunsparce, and this is not a great Pokemon to see, because Dunsparce does quite well against Trevenant, and can put in some solid work against STEELIX. I fire off a Crunch. Crunch is going to do some solid damage, and I get another defense drop. That's huge. Dunsparce is going to fire off the Drill Run. I am able to absorb that damage. Again, the bulk of STEELIX is incredible, and I'm able to make a catch. Catching the Drill Run onto Trevenant. Dunsparce farms up. They're going to bring in Mawile. Mawile with Fairy Wind is incredibly spammy. I fire off the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball does get shielded. Mawile has so much energy, and they're going to start firing off moves. I'm going to shield everything here. They go for an Iron Head. I farm up, and I'm able to reach another Shadow Ball. This will be taking out the Mawile. All that's left in the back is the Dunsparce, and that is a good game. All in all, Psychic Fangs does feel like an improvement for STEELIX. It gives it an even cheaper charge move to get to, and the fact that it has the guaranteed defense drop as well. Dragon Tail plus Psychic Fangs in the 2 shield is an incredibly scary combo. One thing to watch for as well is XL STEELIX in the Ultra League with Psychic Fangs looks to be an absolute beast. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you, as always, to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.